So my name is Nicolas Landrin. I'm a partner with a new name that you see here, Sofimac Innovation, which is different from what you had in your program. We merged two venture firms recently, iSource Venture Capital, together with Sofimac, and together we're a venture firm managing 800 million euros, half of which is in small cap buyout. The other half, and that's where I'm working, is focused on early stage venture investment, what we call deep tech right now. So I thank you, Luc, and I thank Samsung for inviting me. And the purpose of my talk was to give my thoughts about the myths and realities of AI and big data, and try to understand, to reply to the question, why is data really the new oil? And I'm going to give you a venture capitalist view on those matters. There's no single week when we're not seeing headlines like those that say that artificial intelligence is going to be a disaster, or that's going to be a miracle, that industries like banking are going to be completely disruptive. There are investments in billions of dollars. And I've rarely seen so much buzz and hype and, frankly, bullshit about a technology revolution. This AI or data science revolution is not really new. If you look back 20 years ago, in '96, Kasparov was crushed by a machine, Deep Blue at that time, that totally crushed him in a chess game, and it was a very depressing moment for him. A few years ago, as you know, IBM Watson has beaten humans at Jeopardy, which is a very human game, that requires a lot of knowledge. And more recently, there's this Go master who's crushed by Google DeepMind. So you see, where's it going? Well, we saw that in the previous presentation. This is a slide of Waymo, the former Google car. Level 4 and level 5 cars are going to happen very fast. I mean, Olivier is not going to contradict me, and much sooner than many skeptical people think. And you'll see why we're pretty well informed about this at iSource and Sofimac. We have AI in our pocket. This is the vocal assistant of Samsung. You can take your Samsung Galaxy, ask it what's the date of birth of Napoleon, it will reply to you. Okay? You have AI in your pocket. You have AI that's vacuuming your house. This is one of the vacuum robots of Samsung. It's actually using AI to perform a much better job at cleaning the house than others. And I was actually looking at the internet, the web yesterday, and some of the Samsung robots. There is actually one that maps automatically your room and knows where's the kitchen, where's the living room. So you have AI cleaning your house today. So, you know, as a VC, part of our job is to live on the bleeding edge of technology, and when there's something like AI coming up, we try to understand if, you know, those drawings that entrepreneurs show us are going to really turn into space shuttles that will go into space. So when such things happen, we take our crystal ball, and our crystal ball is called the Gartner hype cycle. Okay? I'm sure lots of you have seen that. I will not go into detail, but basically all technologies go through a series of phases where you have what's called the peak of inflated expectations. If we zoom in on this slide, and that's the 2017 edition. If you zoom in on the top of the curve, you see this roller coaster, and it's no surprise that you see autonomous vehicle, machine learning, deep learning, virtual assistants that are on top of the roller coaster. And when they move in the other direction, it's when things start getting interesting. You're moving from hype to facing hard realities, and that's where companies and startups start solving problems like the ones we saw before. I just want to zoom in on the bottom left part of the curve, which is right here. You'll see artificial general intelligence. I'll come back to that in a moment. You see that it's still far away from becoming even a technology that sits on top of the curve. So AI, we need to look at it in the context of the digital age. I mean, everything we're talking about today is the digital world. And I've been asking myself I've been in this industry in the VC industry for 16 years, where are we really in the digital age? And I still believe we're at the same situation. We're still at the prehistorical age of the digital age, and we haven't seen much of what's really going to happen. This is us today, and this tool here is called email. Recognize it. So I think the next stage of the digital world is really going to be enabled by AI. And we're going to see a huge evolution or revolution that's going to be enabled by artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is a set of techniques, and there's it's commonly divided in three categories. You have narrow intelligence, which is less intelligent than human. You have artificial general intelligence, which is at par with humans. And then you have artificial superintelligence, which will take over the world, me and the story. So where are we today in artificial narrow intelligence, and why is it so hot now? Well, it's mostly due to the fact that there's been major progress in deep neural networks, and that's what Augustin is working on, and it kind of resembles what you presented. And I will not go into detail, but it's basically a system that calculates, you could say, probabilities, and through lots of training, sometimes huge amounts of training, we'll be able to classify, for example, pictures into flowers, cups, cars, trees, and gives you the probability about this picture being this or that object. So you basically, and you present it better than me, you basically feed the system with thousands, hundreds of thousands, or millions of images, and after a lot of training, it'll be able to distinguish cats, ducks, and dogs. And this is making, you can apply it to images and all sorts of signals and information, and it can provide a lot of very valuable insights, as we will see. So how does that compare with humans today? So let's compare this artificial narrow intelligence, Annie, A-N-I, with a 3-year-old Annie. You don't have to show her millions of cat pictures or even thousands. And even at the age of 2 or when she starts speaking, she'll be able to tell you that all these pictures are cats. Okay. She doesn't have to be trained, and some people say he embeds the concept of cat. And if you look at evolution, we mammals have evolved for, 180 million years, and we've been dealing with cats, wild cats, lions, tigers for I don't know how many generations in evolution. So she embeds in our brain, in our heart, in our guts, the concept of cat. This is just for image recognition. She can do much. She totally crushes the artificial intelligence, okay, in terms of cat recognition and also car recognition in tolls, but she's too young to work. If we look at a broad perspective, and now she's, say 5 years old, she can play with cats, she can make puzzles of cats, she can read and write stories of cats, she can mew, she can dress up as cat, she can build a cat, she can even sing cat songs. I mean, she can embody the concept of cat, okay? So that's a fundamental difference with AI, okay? If we try to put that on a graph, and I use two axes. The x-axis is the breadth of knowledge and skills, and the y-axis is the intensity, the level of skills. Well, if you put your artificial narrow intelligence, it's a straight line. For people who did math, it's called the Dirac. It's 1 here and 0 elsewhere. And if you look at our 3-year-old, or us humans, we have a very, very broad spectrums with curves. But we have a general intelligence, okay? That's the major difference between the two. And as Augustin said, we'll come back to that. One of the key questions is to make these two work together that are orthogonal in every sense. A limitation of this artificial intelligence is that it can't move from one problem to another, okay, without human interventions. I was reading an article about one of the inventors of deep neural networks in MIT Technology Review, and the guy says, you move the problem just a bit, and the solution totally collapses, okay? So it can't recognize things that it hasn't been trained for, it can't improvise, but it is super, super, super efficient at what it's been trained for, okay? So how does it translate in the adult's world? Well, a good example, because it's often referred to in the artificial intelligence perspective, is what's going to happen to medical imaging. Today, take an average radiologist. They spend 80% of their time with machines, looking at screens, talking to their dictaphones, etc. They're going to be impacted in a major way by tools that are going to automate image recognition. That's a slide from a company called TerraPixel, which is implementing AI and won a prize on breast cancer recognition. They're able to recognize breast tumors that radiologists and cancerologists can't recognize today. So radiologists are going to use this tool, and within a few years, I don't know, 5, 10 years, their job will change. They will spend 80% of their time with patients working on what I call broad spectrum tasks, including working with humans and not staring at screens. And you'll see, I think that's what's happening in this very example is going to apply to lots of areas in society. So if we just summarize what we've just discussed, humans are very good at being humans. They are very bad and they hate being specialized machines. I mean, we hate spending 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 hours per day in front of our PCs. Well, I do. No, I'm not going to ask to raise hands, but we hate being machines. And machines, contrarily, are very good at being machines. They are very bad at being humans, and they have no intention at becoming so. So one question is, and again, that was in your presentation, is how to get the best of both worlds. My view is that we need to let AI and data analytics tool deal with data, and we need to let humans deal with humans. And humans are employees, customers, patients, and it's an opportunity not to dehumanize the way we do business and we live in the world, but to rehumanize our organizations and society. And again, the two are very complementary, but managing this interface is one of the main challenges. And this is going to apply to all companies in the world, and you mentioned several examples. This is affecting all areas of society and all areas of business. So just, I mentioned artificial general intelligence before, and so where does it stand today? And this frightening artificial superintelligence. Well, I was at a conference last week of INRIA, which is one of the leading IT and mathematics research institution in France. I spoke to quite a few experts in AI, and all said, well, is it going to happen? Are we going to be crushed by real artificial intelligences? And they said, no, it's going to belong to Hollywood and science fiction for decades, if not centuries. What I heard is not decades, it's centuries, okay? So we shouldn't worry. Or should we? Elon Musk, just a few months ago, said, robots will beat humans at everything in 2030. But what he didn't say is that humans will beat machines. Robots will beat humans at everything, one thing at a time. So if we take the graph I showed earlier, humans are going to face multiple ultra-specialized AIs that they will not be able to compete with, okay? That will be much, much, much better. And again, the question is how to manage the interface. If we translate that into what it means for business, you could use the same representation for your company's skills and say, well, that's the company's skills, that's where you have to be good at in order to stay in business. Could be advanced R&D, it could be supply chain, customer service, etc. Okay, and it shows here the peaks and valleys where you need to excel. Thanks to AI, that's what could happen in several years, where your competitive advantage is going to be increased and amplified thanks to AI, and your what I call your AI-powered competitive advantage is going to look like the blue curve. And the question is how to achieve this blue curve. So I'm going to use two examples that actually belong to the automotive industry. The first one, it's a company called LeatherTech that my friend Didier in the room invested in several years ago. It's a company based in Quebec, which is designing LiDAR sensors. Again, it was on your presentation. So light, radar, sensors, mostly for autonomous vehicles. It's a company that attracted $100 million last summer from Osram, Delphi, Magneti Marelli, and the likes. Why am I giving this example? It's because they are confronting AI at 3 levels already. So I won't go into detail, but they design a subsystem which is comprising optical system, analog system, digital systems, which are very complex combinations of things that are kind of hybrid. They are currently using machine learning to optimize those combinations and find the best combinations for their products. So they are themselves a user of AI. Their own system, which is, as a matter of fact, giving a pixel map out of those LiDARs, is using machine learning tools that makes the job of classifying information much easier. And obviously, the output of their system is feeding information to the upper level of ADAS, which is the super intelligence in your car, which will decide if you need to turn right or left. So just a simple, just a portfolio company in our portfolio, they are dealing with AI at 3 levels. Another one that I found was very striking, not in our portfolio. Why? I'll come back to that. We've been mixed up. Another very interesting company that you might have heard about that came out of nowhere called Nauto. It's a company created in 2015, I guess. They raised close to $200 million from Masayoshi Son and from Sofimac and others a few months ago. They have a two-pronged strategy. Officially, they are installing this device here in your behind your windshield, which is monitoring constantly what's going on outside and inside. And they're supposed to improve your driver behavior. They will detect when you're getting distracted, etc. But as a matter of fact, they are amassing the largest data set ever of real-world driving experience, which will be packaged and sold for the future self-driving cars. So, in a couple of years, they'll go to PSA and, yeah, you know what? I have millions of hours of driving, and it's going to cost you millions. This company is totally built. Its purpose is to amass data that will be exploited by AI in order to help drive the future autonomous vehicles. So they're doing pretty much, what was done in the past with looking at thousands or perhaps millions of chess games of chess masters. Same with Go Masters and radiologists. Taking all of this data and transforming it into insights and value. So that was, try to get my previous slide. So what I wanted to mention here is that, to me, so this implementations of AI are based on three circles with humans in the middle. You need data, you need plenty of data, some of which and more will come from sensors, and that's what Luc was calling, intelligence of things. So tons of data, which are funneled through AI algorithms, and that run on increasing computing power. And you see here in the log scale the Moore's law, which is really the enabler and the one of the reasons why those deep learning algorithms are really working today. But again, I'm trying to put this through. Humans are in the center of everything, okay? And that was sort of my preliminary conclusion. Here's the answer to the question, why is data the new oil? It's thanks to AI. I mean, raw oil is worth nothing, and you need to transform it into business insight and business value, and that's why data is the new oil. Without AI, data is not worth much. And a lot of people say, we shouldn't use the word oil. It's much more like gold mining. You see those people in rivers spending hours and hours trying to get nuggets. It's more of it's probably a more appropriate metaphor. I'll try to wrap up now with the following question. So what does it mean for your business, for our businesses? Well, here are some issues of implementing what I call AI-enabled processes. Let's face it, I mean, most companies in France or pretty much everywhere in the world are only halfway through their digital or data transformation. A lot of companies have very, very poor data analytics structures. So you can't build AI if you have a lousy or data foundation. AI, human complementarity, I touched it. I mean, how can we combine AI insights with human judgment in the best way? And how do we make humans accept that AI will be a bit of a black box, including your car? Why is it turned in right? I mean, I would have turned left. So you'll need to accept that your car decides to make a right. Same for business. One key problem, AI talent is very, very rare. We're hearing salaries in the hundreds of thousands of dollars in the US, millions for PhDs and postdocs, and AI talent, so people who are not only capable of understanding AI like you, and also business, are extremely scarce. I don't know how you hire people, but that's a huge scarcity. The fourth point, the learning curve of AI is very steep, but once you start reaping the benefits, the benefits can be absolutely huge and materialize very fast. So all this together, I believe there is a very, very strong first mover advantage to work on AI and gain a competitive advantage with AI. If you don't do it, your competitors will do it, and they'll go much faster than you on the learning curve. I'm a venture capitalist, so the reason I'm here is obviously for funding startups, and Diplomatic is a perfect example of a company that packages state-of-the-art AI techniques, and I like when you said, there are different tools, and we try them, and we try to apply the best tools, and they package those tools into business solutions like demand forecasting, credit scoring, etc., that are IT-ready. You can plug them in, so to say, your IT system, and they are human-ready, okay? They are human-ready. And they focus on very specific areas that they need to be excellent in. So all in all, they reduce the implementation time, cost, and risk, and you should start working with those startups. Final slide and key takeaways that I would like you to leave the presentation with, and I look forward to having a conversation with you on that. Point number one, as you saw, I think AI can totally reshape your company's competitive advantage, okay? It was the blue curve that I showed. Learning curve, the sooner you start, the quicker you reach higher levels. Shouldn't wait for your competitors to be ahead of the pack. Data is becoming the new oil thanks to AI, that's what I said. But the last and the most important two things that I wanted to share with you, because a lot of people say, AI is going to take our jobs, our lives, we're going to be robots, AI is going to subcontract, outsource jobs to humans. I think it's going to be the opposite, or it is an opportunity to be the opposite. Number one, human judgment will become more valuable than ever. Okay? If your AI says, you should buy your competitor, you'll need judgment. Okay? And that's what our brain is made for. And last and most important point, I think it's an opportunity for businesses and radiologists and everything, and that's why I put the radiologist in the background, to rehumanize human processes. People have enough of dealing with machines. They want to deal with humans, okay? So the better companies will get in managing data, the more they can refocus on dealing with humans internally and externally. Thank you.